Tom's World Beer Tour, a podcast story featuring Tom Bowman and Tom Bradley. Now, crack one open and let the tour begin.
You got us over here because I wasn't sure. I was messing with the sound.
That's what I like.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you get to see that?
Yeah.
Did you get to see that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see me drinking the beer beforehand, too?
I don't know when I pulled it down, to be honest with you. There's so much going on, and it's like, remember when your parents used to watch the Ed Sullivan Show and they had the guy with the plates?
How old are you, for God's sakes? You never watched your parents watching the Ed Sullivan Show?
No. I just said, remember when your parents were kids, and that's what they
I don't
would
remember
watch.
when they were kids. My parents actually were adults by the time.
Didn't your parents ever tell you stories?
They consummated their dad. I'd never heard any stories about that at all.
Why is Doug hovering?
You want it up a little bit?
Why is Doug hovering?
We're using, actually, we have a separate PA speaker taking care of the crowd out here tonight.
Well, because
there
are people. So.
And we have a crowd out here. We're at a brewery where I've spent a lot of time. Many a morning waking up saying, why am I on the floor of this brewery?
And so for those of you that listen as a podcast, meaning audio only, which, of course, you go to Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart, wherever you
See, I told you Stitcher was one of them. I told you.
Stitcher. And wherever you download podcasts, you can go and look up Tom's World Beer Tour, hit subscribe, and then it shows up every Thursday morning. It's the easiest thing to do. Go do it now.
Right.
Now. Get it done. And then for those of you watching on Facebook through video and also on YouTube by video, one of the things on Facebook that you really got to do, and I keep reminding people, is it's one thing to come in and watch our videos. It's another thing to come in and like the page. Follow the page.
Wait a second.
That says follow.
Don't like the page if you don't like it, though.
No, you should like it. Who wouldn't like it?
How come there isn't a button that says don't like? There should be one.
Well, yeah.
This thing sucks. Shit. Don't like.
No shit. Well, we don't want that button. Careful what you ask for.
I'm only saying.
But you should follow the page. That way, whenever we release a new video, which is usually within an hour of us taping this, I put it up before we ever leave wherever we are.
Yeah.
Then you automatically shows up in your little notification. When you open up your Facebook and it says, hey, Tom's World Beer Tour was live.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did you post anything about our podcast production tonight?
Not on our page. I put it I shared it on my personal page because it was a lot of local people.
Okay, because somebody found their way out here. Can you see him in your camera shot behind you?
Which one?
There's a guy behind you.
You mean I can see Doug?
No. There's another guy over here. He has a braided beard that's like 18 inches long.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah. Can you wave for us over there?
That guy.
There you go.
Yeah, he's in the shot.
He says we have not.
Hey, you're not wanted anywhere, right? You're not on some federal list or something, are you? Okay, I'm just checking. If we see you on camera, they're not going to come like. Okay, good.
Federal marshals come in here. Doesn't
he look like somebody that might be on a list?
He may be on a list. I don't. He looks like he could kick both of our asses.
But we love this guy. This is one of the early adopters. This guy, immediately after the first couple of shows, sent us an email to tomsworldbeertour@gmail.com. That's where you can send comments and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, would really love it if you guys would spend more time talking about beer. Because I think what happens is people see Tom's World Beer Tour. There's no apostrophe.
I think we're going to talk about beer.
Well, there's no apostrophes. They don't know what the hell's going on. They don't realize there's two Toms. That's the Tom's part, right? And the world part is we can go wherever we want. And beer is the liquid that leads to great conversation.
And it does every single time. I want to tell you something, though, about this thing. You said he was one of the early adopters, or did you mean adapters? Because they call it early adapters.
Well, he's not adapting to us. He's adopting our show.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I probably said it wrong because I'm only a broadcaster for a living.
I only want to know, is it adapting or adopting? Am I adopted now?
I don't know. I am.
You never told me I was adopted this whole time. I imagine my surprise.
By the way, I am prepared to tell that story on the air at some point.
Okay, hold on. This is not funny. This is serious.
No, serious. I am prepared to have a show based on my adoption.
This is let me explain this as simply as I can, and we will not go any deeper on it.
No, we can't. We don't have enough time.
And then we'll not speak of this again until it's brought up. Tom Bowman has a history that begins long before he was ever born and brings us up to as far as we know today.
52 years.
The way that this has been brought to him in the last few years, we're not even sure we know the whole story yet. He's gone through something in the last couple of years in a story. You've got to have a pen and a paper, maybe an abacus, possibly a compass, a chart.
A chart.
maybe a world map to put this thing together, and we're not kidding.
No.
This guy has gone through some real emotional upheaval. I'm not kidding. This is a very serious. I didn't know you were going to bring this up right now.
I was thinking about it because I was talking to somebody about it this week, and today I found through some research. I had a little bit of time today, and I go through it every once in a while. I found my birth grandmother on my birth mother's side's her birth certificate from 1926.
And you would have never even known who that was just a few years ago.
It was 2 years ago this summer.
Yeah. It's. Let me tell you something.
But let's not that we want to go into this story.
We can't go into the story. We
I
can't.
will tell you that the ending, as of right now, just so people understand, is phenomenal.
Well, we had a discussion on a very serious note not too long ago, in the last year or so. I said, "Hey, man, you're okay to have some issues with this. You're not supposed to find out things about your life and just bounce up like, hey, man, that's cool and be fine. You can have some personal anguish and questioning.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
Well, it's going to hit like a shit ton of bricks.
There's been little things, but that's
not bad. It's not bad. You also have a great life. You have a great life.
I have a phenomenal life.
I
have a phenomenal mother who listens to this, and that's the point I'm trying to make is that it all ends very, very well.
It does.
I mean, it's still going.
But everybody wants to know.
Here.
Everybody wants to know where they're from. You know, so what was it? The duck that goes around by the geese saying, "Are you my
mother?"
mommy?"
Yeah,
or whatever.
Are you my mother?
And it's like, I think I take it for granted, the life that I had. And I meet you, and we find out this story. Yeah. And it didn't come at one point either, with multiple things over the last several years. Yeah. All right. So a very special podcast coming up.
Very special podcast. Whenever.
At some point. Now, we have to address this also before we get to our conversational beer and our guest for the show today, which is that in our area, we've been going through not a complete lockdown with COVID, but there have been restrictions, which means
a health mandate.
Yeah, you got to wear a mask. You have to wear underwear. Isn't that one of them that they said?
I don't know that I've ever gone into an establishment that had a sign that says no shirt, no shoes, no drawers, no service.
Maybe Debbie was just making that one up for me.
Because I've never seen one that says it has like the word commando and it's got the Ghostbuster thing through it. I've never seen that.
Exactly. Is it the word commando or a picture of commando?
It's a picture of a commando.
You see Mr. Happy in a nutsack and it's got the no allowed through this thing. That's funny.
But that just tells me no dicks allowed inside. See, that's a whole nother sign.
Wow. Be careful when you find that on a bedroom door. Okay.
Really?
You're killing me over here.
Wow.
All right. The mandate we had in our area said no masks. We couldn't walk up to bars, like at the bar to get service. Social distancing had to be required if they're not in your household. Only a certain number of people allowed in the establishment. The establishment we're in went through all the protocol in that thing, and they followed it perfectly this whole time. Today at 11:59 a.m., a minute before 12 noon, they released all the COVID restrictions, and we're opened up. And this is the first time I've been here at this brewery without a mask on, other than to sit and to drink the beer. I'm walking around without a mask on in 14 months-ish, 14, something like that.
It's been quite a while. And this is the same. I mean, once again, people listening to this podcast, watching on Facebook, we're across 30 states right now, last time I checked. And so you've got different things going on in different areas. Our friends in Texas who listen are like, you just now got to that point?
Yeah, but our friends out in California, some of them are still going through crap, right?
A little bit. I talked to Barbecue Matt today, as a matter of fact, and things are getting better out there for sure.
Yeah.
And I think he's here in 2 weeks, but I'm out there mid-June. I think when I get out there, it's going to be not normal, but pretty damn close.
Yeah. It is. It's been really strange for everybody. We have not had it as bad as a lot of areas.
No.
We also haven't been opened up wide open like some areas were. So we've been in the middle. I'm not going to bitch about it, but I will tell you today is actually our day of salvation. It's our glorious Freedom Day, and so we're enjoying it, and it feels really good. With that being said, the brewery that we're in, I really have trouble keeping up with these weeks. Is this our first brewery?
Let me think about this for a second. Yes.
It's our first brewery.
Yes, because there's a handful in town. We haven't been to any. We've been to plenty of bars that we like and restaurants. We have had those from breweries. We had our good friends from Sudvux from Davis, California.
Yeah.
They were in. The rep from St. Louis was in. It's a California beer. That's when we realized.
We lucked out with that one.
Well, it's crazy because, and this is a question that I'm going to have for Dan, who comes on here in a couple minutes, is that when I see a beer in California when I go on vacation, and I see a beer here in Missouri where I live, I just assume it's everywhere. If it's there and it's here, it's got to be everywhere. What are the odds that a beer is only there and here? And that's Sudworks was that way.
And that's what happens with
Very
that.
strange. And we're in a market with some really good craft beer. One of my favorites that we ride is Boone County Brown. We've talked about Boone County Brown before.
Yeah.
Boone County Brown comes from this particular space, Burr Oak Brewing, which we love. And I just wonder about distribution. Like, is it a goal of a place like this to be in 50 states, or would they rather be in less states and be able to control it better? A lot of questions.
Well, and I think we can get into that, but at the same time, in a little I won't call it a rehearse, but in a pre-conversation, I think Dan would really like to talk some shit on the show.
About
There was, I don't know, stuff got sexual and it was really crazy.
Well, when we put him on, right? When we put him on soon,
yeah.
Don't be startled for those of you that are watching. Those of you that are listening, we'll describe.
Oh, we're
Dan
going to
to you.
describe. But there's something coming
Now,
your way
you,
visually.
You have a beard. I have a beard.
As,
We don't have beards.
at this table, it's not a beer, ladies and gentlemen, to bring to the table. We got the guy that's running the show over here, Burr Oak Brewing, out of the central portion of Missouri. Incredible brewery. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Johnson.
Hello, Dan.
Great to have you here.
Look at that beard.
I'm the only one clapping. I'm the only one
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's drinking. They didn't come here to see
no one
us.
cares.
See, the beauty of this show when we go
Yeah.
on location is we don't really tell anybody. It's not like your morning show where you announce, hey, join us on Friday down at the lake. We're going to be there for Bike Fest, and come by and have drinks with us, whatever.
Well, and see what you just did is you went into the radio thing. You're like,
I know.
hey,
I
come
did
on
it
down.
purpose.
We're going to be
That's
hanging
right.
out.
On purpose.
But in a podcast, you're like, F off. I don't care what you do. We're going to sit here and have a good time.
Yeah,
And
we're just having a conversation.
that's what we've
we're
done.
doing.
Dan and I have known each other for a while. I'll
Yeah.
just call it a while.
Did he
few
have
years.
that beard when you first met him, or
No,
is this new?
No.
no,
Is that a COVID beard? Because that would be impressive.
no. It's not a COVID beard.
No.
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 But it got more COVID-like
I
during
did tell
COVID.
people that I started it at the beginning of COVID, but
That's a
I really
good
had
goal.
like a,
I mean,
8-month
from
head start.
I can't quite tell where your chin is, but I'm going to guess from your chin to the bottom of your beard, got to be 8 inches.
Oh, it's more than 8 now. It's more than 8. And I'll tell you something.
Oh, I
that's-
think I'm
What is
close.
it? Is it 8?
I have no idea.
Oh.
Are you talking about in men's measurements or
Yeah, well,
reality?
then it's 6.
Yeah, right.
So listen, you told us at the beginning when you were starting, you joined like a beard group of guys, right? I shouldn't say
No.
that. A beard group of people. Who am I to judge?
Well,
You know, if you can
Yeah,
grow a
that's a good
beard,
point.
jump on in there. You were with some kind of a group, right?
I was approached. I was recruited,
Yeah.
oh,
but it was a
Pretty
little
good.
weird. It was at Walmart. I was at the checkout line.
first of all, nobody wants somebody to walk up to them randomly at Walmart.
How long was her beard?
No.
His name was Dan, and it was next to
It's Danielle.
Danielle.
Now,
No,
you were-
this guy, it's like he looked at me from about 20 feet away, and he's like, that kid's got potential. And he came up to me and he said, hey, man, you're growing a fierce beard right there, and I think you might want to consider joining a beard club
Growing
and possibly go to a few competitions that.
Whoa.
No,
Do
no,
you-
they have these.
when you-
No, I
beard-
know they do, but it's
Yeah.
like
Do you compete like stick your chin out there? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Whip each other. Your beard has done something a lot more than the last time I saw you, which is it waves now as you say,
Yeah.
no, sir. Do it. Say no, sir.
No,
Look at
sir.
that thing.
Yeah.
so. I have this question. So I always keep my beard about this short. I can't do that for my
Why
job.
not?
I can't,
Why not?
Because for my
Why
job,
not?
I can't. No one's
Why
gonna,
not? What
I
do you
just
think
can't.
about it? What are you saying about
I
his
just
beard?
can't.
Why do you got to be
saying
like
that-
that? Why you got to be like
I'm
that?
saying that
Do I
beard.
remind you about one of the Tom's World Beer Tour lovers back here and his braided beard?
I know
he
it's
has?
impressive. It's impressive.
Okay, look at that beard. Look at that beard.
But the question I have is when it comes to like maintenance, right? So I see all these ads that show up in my feeds where it's like you got to have these oils and these things, and I don't
No.
do that. I'm not
no, he doesn't have oils.
Zero.
right.
Zero.
That was the whole point of it. I didn't want any maintenance. I didn't want any.
Is there ever any trimming
Nope,
going on?
just
no.
the mustache.
Right, because you don't want to eat it.
Right.
Right.
So just the mustache.
Just the
The
mustache.
rest of it goes, and he's a natural bearded man. Natural man.
No oils.
Okay.
Just purely natural.
Do you,
I wanted
do
to.
you comb it out a little bit?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Wait a
Like, if
second,
I wash
really?
it, I'll run my fingers through it.
Right.
But otherwise,
I mean, you're not
just,
trying to make dreadlocks.
Have you
I
ever
mean,
had a
you're-
woman say, "Can I run my fingers through your beard"?
not at this stage.
Really?
I think about a year ago I did.
And they said, "Let me touch it."
Yeah.
And now it's like they're scared.
Yeah. I
Do
think,
you
Why are they
think,
scared?
Do you think you've gotten to the stage where you're like, oh, maybe I've gone too far?
yes. 100%.
Because
I'm
the
100%
chicks
too
were
far.
digging it, and
yeah.
now it's
Yeah. Now it's just scary. And that was
that's a shame.
like I wanted to see what it would be like to be like Tom Hanks on Castaway. What
you're-
would I look like?
Oh, you're there.
What would I look
you're,
like
You're
if
there.
I grew this thing
His was
unhinged
his
for-
was long. It was not as long as this.
No. Yeah.
That is God. You say no, and it goes. Wah, 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 wah.
And I'm letting my hair grow out now. So I've got a good bald spot on the top of my head and then bald on the top. It's like all coming together for just a scary looking
Wow, that's
Nice.
pretty cool. Is it a forever beard like ZZ Top, or will
No.
there come a day?
dude. So I took over as CEO and I said I'm not gonna cut this beard until we get a grain silo because that would save us a lot of money on
Sure.
our production. And I thought there'd be this big rally of support because I'm growing this beard and it'd be like a fast or something.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It
no
never
one
happened.
really cared.
Where,
so
where's,
there's
the, where's the silo?
it's
Oh,
still not
dang.
there.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
So
but
the
I'm
beard
not.
keeps
I'm
growing.
not gonna cut it until we have a silo installed
So that's for sure.
for sure.
And then when you get the silo, it is for sure coming off.
I've debated it because
Like
now
clean?
I've thought about just shocking everyone with just a clean cut, shave my head,
Sure.
but
I got a
but
friend in
now
town that
it's-
does straight razor, man. They'll
Now-
take care of that clean.
But now it feels like a friend.
yeah, now it's almost like a son.
Are you saying it's keeping him,
You know
keeping him
what's
company
cool?
at night? What's going on?
At your age, with the graying you have,
Yeah.
you've got streaks coming down
Yeah.
here. You got some dark streaks and you got some white streaks, and it kind of looks,
Skunky.
yeah, in a good way. In like it looks like racing stripes.
So I'm a little apprehensive of cutting the beard because it's really the only thing anyone compliments me on.
Nobody says,
It's
"Hey,
kinda-
man,
yeah,
nice ass."
No,
Nobody
yeah,
say
no
that?
one says,
Dan,
"Hey,
this-
Dan, you're just a cool dude."
Dude,
They're
this-
just like, "You've got a nice."
Do you want to
beard."
get up and show your ass to the camera?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right,
yeah, if you
good,
would,
good.
just
Let's-
watch the beers.
yeah,
So you
don't spill the
and don't
beers.
trip on the microphone, the cable there.
For those of you listening
This
at home,
is this is your camera.
yeah, we're at a
so
gigantic.
Kind of go over here. Can you
pic-
see his ass?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
We're at a really long picnic table,
Yeah.
so no one
Right.
gets out of a picnic table gracefully.
yeah.
It
But that
doesn't
was
happen.
pretty. Well, he's got a good ass. He can get out of there gracefully because it's a lot of
Gotcha.
strength. In
Here's a
that ass.
compliment I will give you. For those of you watching, I'm wearing my old 63 hat, which is, and don't take this offensively because maybe it is offensive. I consider this craft Budweiser, in my opinion. Like when someone says, "What's Old 63?" I go, "It's a craft version of Budweiser. It's a delicious, drink it all day, every day type beer." Am I close?
Yes, and I don't take any offense
Okay,
at that
good.
because it's a segment of the market that's extremely popular and it's a high volume segment. So
Right.
it's
You
it's
put
a-
that into a 12-pack. That's the only beer you guys have had in
Yes.
a 12-pack that
Mm-hmm.
you've sent out. Would you do us all a favor?
Sure.
If you can sum it up in less than 30 minutes, let's say, reasonable. Can you give us the story between his beer, which is Old 63, and mine, which is Old 63 High Octane?
Oh, it's good.
Oh yeah. That actually happened Valentine's
by
Day.
accident?
It was definitely an accident, and it was during Valentine's Day of right before COVID hit.
So of 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the conception happened on Valentine's Day, but the birth
At a bunch of places.
But
but
the
the
birth-
birth happened during COVID.
Wow.
So February 14th takes 3 weeks for the batch to ferment.
Mm-hmm.
We go to can the old
The
63
latest batch of
the
Old
latest batch of
63.
old 63. We needed to fill a lot of orders,
Yeah.
and we were 400 cases short. And we were like, what happened here? Why are we so short on this? And we're scratching our heads, and our head brewer figured out that we were exactly 33% short, which is the amount of water that we cut it with to finish the brewing process.
Sure,
So we
sure.
realized our assistant brewer, who was left in charge that day, messed up somehow
Oh,
and
it's
didn't
always
add
the
water.
assistant.
And
How did he mess up? He hooked up the hose and didn't turn it on? What did he do?
He just, what happened was there was a really good looking girl that came into the tap room. He noticed the girl and said, I'm going to, shoot her shoot. Left his brewing, went into the tap room, spit some game, and got shot down.
Shut him down.
I have so many
And-
follow-up questions.
And there will be.
And then he forgot. He was so heartbroken that on
And-
Valentine's
and
Day,
enamored. I mean, he was
yeah,
dreaming,
enamored,
wishing.
heartbroken, confused.
Right.
And on Valentine's Day, he forgot to add water to our old 63, so we ended up with a really concentrated batch,
Yeah.
which we could then not sell. So it was
Well,
a big mistake.
You would think you
We
can't
couldn't
sell.
sell, but then we tasted it.
Who
and we
who's,
were,
who
And
said
this
you
is
can't
it. This
sell
is it right here.
Yeah.
What are you drinking right there?
so I just have the regular one.
Me
Look
too.
at this
Me-
for
me
those
too.
for those who are on camera.
Yeah.
Look at the difference in the
Yeah.
color of these. That's amazing. And the alcohol difference is what?
It's I think 4.2 versus around 8.
Yeah. So you take what do you call like a craft Budweiser at
Right.
a 4.2.
Yeah.
That's I'm mowing the lawn. I can drink 3 of these things and it's going down like water. And
Yep.
you take it to an 8 and it's like, oh, I better not be drinking these while I'm mowing the lawn.
But the problem is that it still almost tastes like a yard beer that you can drink 3 of.
Yeah.
So you end up drinking 3 octane, and
That's
you
right.
really just drink a 6-pack.
And then you
Yeah.
drew a design in your neighbor's lawn.
And it happens. The flavor, though, this is the wild thing. Now, we're talking about the beer, which we were asked about earlier. The flavor going from the craft light beer to the high octane, you guys found something here.
I really think we did.
It's really, really good. Now,
Yeah.
I know the octane is higher, and so I got to be careful, but the flavor of the beer is really, really exceptional.
So Old 63 is our highest selling beer by far,
Right.
even in the tap room. Even
Sure.
when there's 16 other beers to choose from, I figured it would not sell as well as the others. It outsells everything 2 to 1. But out of all the Old 63 drinkers that I have given a sample of octane to, I would say 90 to 95% say, "Wow, I really I like this better than the regular one." But they'll
Yeah.
still drink the Old 63 for the same reason I'm drinking the Old 63.
Because it's
I
like a
don't want to
session
slur
beer.
my words on this
Right.
show.
You want to be able to make it
Yeah.
through. You can slur your
Oh,
words on this show.
we're early in the show.
We
Don't
do it all
worry.
the
Give
time.
give it some time.
Yeah.
I want to get to some other stuff that is probably away from beer. I know you do as well. But
Yeah.
while we're talking about beer, let's bring on the conversational beer.
Oh, we could do that.
And as I do,
Let me finish my old 63 while you talk about it.
all right, as I do, our gracious guest today had recommended, can we please start promoting what our conversational beer is going to be ahead of time so people can go, oh, let me grab some of that on the way home, and then I'll go
Right.
check out the podcast or whatever. Okay.
There's some
Good.
There's some challenges in there.
Because we got to start making decisions earlier and actually
And we
planning.
For people that think that there's weeks of planning into each one of these, the reason that we like this,
I think you can listen to the show and there's not weeks of planning.
I think the reason people like this show is it's spontaneous. It goes in different directions. What we think it's going to be 5 minutes before we start ends up being very different
Right, all over the
when
place.
we're done. But more times than not, we show up someplace and we go, "Hey man, what should the conversational beer be?" Well, if we had this one, nope. Have we had nope? Oh, that's the one.
Like last one we knew, but I didn't really know it until 24 hours ahead of time.
Right.
So I brought it out. It was chilled and ready to go, and it was something that our distributor Shepherd's
Yeah.
distributes, and it was Mexican, and so it was Cinco de
It was
Mayo.
really good. It was better than that other Mexican beer that's not from AB.
Right. But when you walk into a brewery and they've got 8, 10, 12 brews available, whether it was brewed recently or it's something that they've stockpiled, and you go, I don't know, Dan, what should our conversational beer be? And we asked him that about 15
Right.
minutes, 5 minutes before we started, and he went and got us each a beer.
But that's the beauty of being at
Yeah.
either at a bar or a restaurant or at a brewery like we are right now. So for those of you that are listening, unfortunately, you don't get to see this as well. But with our cameras, over Tom's shoulder, there's the tanks,
Yeah.
right? You can see all of that. This is actually a working brewery we're in. It's not some warehouse out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it is a warehouse in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's not easy to get to sometimes, and maybe that's by choice. And then over my shoulder, of course, you got this big wide open area where events happen, whether it's Burr Oak events. We've done Bacon and Bourbon in here before. The Bacon and Bourbon Festival
Weddings.
was there.
I
Weddings.
think you had an ordination in here, maybe about mitzvah. I think there was in here. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, all of that's going on.
Okay, that was a lie. but,
Yeah, I don't
And then, of
thank you
course,
for
over,
right.
and
playing
then
along.
over Dan's shoulder, it's the big door to get outside. So that's, there you
Yeah,
go.
no, it's
Pretty
a great venue and a great brewery. You guys do a hell of a job. Tell me what you picked out for our conversational beer.
So I picked out Frank's Golden Cream Ale, which is a honey and vanilla cream ale. And the reason I picked it out
It's
is
going to remind me of a girl I dated when I was 10. Go on.
Which part, the cream or the ale?
Go on.
oh, that's good.
You should know better
You
than to
tasted
take a
it.
drink
We were-
while we're
we were
talking.
busy
sorry,
talking.
sorry.
He hears us talking. He's like, that's his. You talk, we drink.
No,
Right.
cheers. Cheers, cheers, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, cheers,
Cheers
cheers.
to
All the way
the
around.
end of the
Cheers.
mask ordinance.
Yeah,
Cheers.
it is
First
Freedom
of all,
Day.
on the nose,
Freedom Day.
it has that.
I think I went too
I didn't
deep.
say put your nose
I
in
have
it.
a big nose. I'm sorry.
I said
Shoved it right
I
into
said
that
on
thing.
on the nose, not in
Yes,
the nose.
yes, on the nose.
When you smell it, it has that sort of like cream soda esque.
Can I taste it yet?
I'm not telling you anything you don't already know.
So we took this to Morel and Microbrews 2 weekends ago, and we probably had 10 to 15 people come up and say, this is the best beer of the festival. And I've had that happen at other festivals like in Kansas City that we brought Frank's to.
Yeah.
But when you mention, hey, after the show we can go pick some up or whatever, the problem is we don't have a lot of shelf space for it because it came out after Clyde's Caramel Cream Ale, which is a huge seller. And it came out after Big Tree and after Boone County Brown, which, I mean, they're all solid beers, but if you don't have the shelf space or the availability, it's hard for people to
I want to make sure
recognize.
I want to make sure everybody else understands this. Here's the thing. The beer on its own, you're going to say it has nothing to do with the rest of your beers when I'm at the store. The problem is you guys, whether you're self-distributed or with a distributor, you're only going to have so much shelf space at a store. You go to a liquor store, a grocery store, convenience store, a side stand where somebody swears they have a liquor license and they're selling you
Well, this
Burrow
goes to the
or whatever.
conversation last week with Joe Priestmeyer, who's a local distributor. Someone has to go in and negotiate space for the brands they represent.
Yeah.
And so there's only so much space you have for the Burrow products.
Yes, and it doesn't matter how good your distributor is. You're going to be limited at a C store. You're going to be limited at a smaller liquor store. So, you know, we do get Frank's in spots, but it's going to be your like Macadoodles or some Hy-Vees, some not. And I think people are a little timid to bring it in because Clyde's is such a strong seller. They know they're going to make their money. They know they're going to get the turnover. But in other states, we actually sell more Frank's than Clyde's.
I love Clyde's, but and I'm not comparing the two side by side. I'm pretty sure I like this better.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting really good response at beer festivals to it, which, by the way, has been really weird. We'll maybe talk about that in a minute. Great response at beer festivals to this. The people that are telling you they like it, have they had Clyde's?
We actually had Clyde's at
those festivals.
We brought it at the other festival too, and they like them both. Don't get me wrong, Clyde's does really well out of state also.
Yeah.
But if you go into Untapped, Clyde's is getting 4.5 stars. There are several 5 stars, 4.5, 5 stars for Frank's. And I think the formula has been tweaked over time to where in the early years it wasn't getting as good of reviews, but it's getting, I would say out of all of our beers, it's getting the highest reviews over the past year. You can't look at its cumulative.
I'll also
average.
tell you I'm not surprised to find out you've tweaked it because I think I'm tasting that there because it's been around a few years now.
Yeah.
And I'm tasting it. Would you tell us, please, who Clyde and who Frank are, please?
So Clyde is our brewery cat.
Which I have, as a matter of fact. If you look at my camera, those of you that are watching, there's Clyde. Right there. He's a real cat. He's floating around. He was hanging out at that table because our buddy Doug, who people have met before on the show, brought pulled pork for us.
So he always
and
comes
Clyde
around.
wanted pulled pork.
He comes around when you got food, but he won't eat from me. I'll hold it to him. I'll put it on the ground. He'll look at me like, I don't know. But he always comes around when there's food.
Yes. He's got a little bit of tude.
Yeah.
And he's kind of picky.
He's a black cat.
Yeah, he is a master manipulator not only of the Burr Oak staff but also of the customers, so that if he's hungry, he can kind of persuade them to move over to the vending machine you see over by the fire extinguisher
and go get some food.
And he's like, nodding at the.
When you guys did the artwork, though, it's pretty interesting. The artwork on the cans for Clyde's Cream Ale has Clyde the cat with a monocle. And so in the beginning, I was like, why the monocle? It's like, well, it's the personification of an animal. It gives him kind of a, hello, I'm Clyde. I'm a little bit of a, and you're like, you're right. It makes him more of a person.
But it brings up many other questions that I have, not for this show necessarily, but like, do you wear a monocle because you can't see in the other eye? I don't understand the concept of the monocle.
That's a good point.
The monocle's
the only person I know that pulled it off well was Colonel Klink in Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah, he did it great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why?
Hogan! No, I mean it's because you
Weird,
only
right?
really need the assistance in one eye. Your other eye is okay. It's probably like 70-20, but this one is like 320.
What are the odds
So
in the
you put-
world that how many people in the world do you think could get by with a monocle? It's a ridiculous
That's a
concept.
good question.
That's a
you know what? Do you wear
fantastic
glasses? Do you wear
observation.
glasses?
Thank
Thank
you. Yes, I do.
You do.
I lose them all the time, so I wear them for about 2 weeks.
Still, though, I
lose
think
them.
he could pull it off. Look at the beard.
If
he
you had
has.
a monocle, you would attach it to a chain around your neck, and it would hang, and you would bring it up in certain points like, well, that is a very good idea. Assistant brewers should not go into the tap room on Valentine's Day and
Right.
create an amazing product for us by accident.
Right.
Yeah.
The
He
be-
did get
and-
a raise after that.
And the best thing, he got a raise.
Well,
that
he didn't
night.
get a raise. He
He
didn't
got
get a
a
raise
raise
in the
that
tap
night.
room, but he got a raise here.
That's exactly right.
Well
By the
done.
way,
Well done.
The art of the monocle is you got to put it in your eye, and then
Well,
talk.
not in your eye.
Well, no, but I mean you
but you
put it
hold
in the
it
eye
with
socket.
your eye socket. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you let go, and it's sitting there talking. And when somebody says something astonishing, you go, "What?"
And it drops.
It has to fall.
It's the dumbest thing, but yet Colonel Klink. And for those of you that are younger that are going, what
Don't
the hell are
even
they
explain
talking
it.
about?
Don't even explain it.
It's-
No, you wish you
Hogan's
knew. You
Heroes
wish
is
you knew.
on. It's running on one of these many channels that are out there.
I'm
Trust
sure
me.
it is.
It's the greatest war comedy ever.
All right. When we were talking during the show, you made a comment about something sexual, which takes me back to what you said earlier. There was an English phrase.
Oh,
Tell me
my
the
God.
phrase, and then we'll describe it to some degree.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah.
Making the promise.
Making the promise is a sexual
It is?
term?
Yes.
Like rusty trombone type?
No,
Oh,
nothing
alright.
like that.
Just
But
asking for a friend.
yeah, if
You don't know rusty trombone?
Wait. Well,
That's a whole nother show.
We'll get to that in a moment.
I'm not gonna get into specifics, but
Okay.
but pretend you're working within an organization,
Uh-huh.
and one person who's the opposite sex of another person
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden gets some kind of project pushed through that doesn't really make sense, or
Okay.
gets a promotion of some type. They probably made the promise.
They made
I
the
see.
promise.
I see.
Making the promise. When they made the promise, it means that they satisfied the other in a on your knees kind of a way.
So when they walk by, you go, oh, yeah, the promise was made.
Yeah, probably made the promise.
Right.
Probably made the promise.
They've got the stripes now. They've got the key to the executive washroom. They're like, I guess they made the promise. Making the promise.
No, go ahead.
Making the promise, though, is sort of like they satisfied the promise. They didn't just make the promise. But you
Well,
said this is English.
I mean, did they really satisfy? We don't know. It's all subjective.
It's
They
an-
made the
definitely-
promise.
yeah.
They may not have satisfied the promise, but they made
No,
it.
they got the stripes. They got the key to the washroom. They're on the executive level. They
Or,
completed.
or you might say to someone, "Would you make the promise or something?"
Wow.
Wow.
Have you used this throughout your life, or only since you got the beard?
I've not used it personally as far as executing the promise, but I have now integrated it into my vocabulary at said times.
Have you ever said to someone, let's just say, are you willing to make the promise?
No. But now that you know what it means, I'm
Yeah.
going to incorporate
Oh my
it into
God.
our conversations of like, geez, Tom,
I'm gonna have
that person must have made the promise.
I'm gonna have trouble hearing people say, "I promise." I'll be like, "I'm sorry, what?"
I mean, we can choose this beer tonight, but you're going to make the promise.
Wow,
Wow,
that is something.
no, that's
The whole thing started off with me saying, "Look, when it goes between my radio show, the podcast, if you're younger, and we say this is an adult content podcast, if you listen to this thing, I'm not going to be the one that teaches you why storks don't do what we've said, right? I mean, this is
It's educational, this show.
no. I'm not going to be the one that educates someone that doesn't already know. If you know, then you get it. If you don't, and you go like, and then you start ending throughout making the promise. And I said, what?
Yeah, but it's kind of funny in a way, and it's kind of like making whoopee, except different.
Yeah, making whoopee is what they were saying around me when I was a kid.
Well, that was the Newlywed Game.
Yeah, the Newlywed Game said it all the
Which
time.
also leads
That's what my
that also
parents
leads
said.
into the greatest answer of all time when they said, "Where's the strangest place you ever made whoopee?" And a guy said, "Well, that would be in the butt, Bob."
No, that didn't really happen.
Dude, there's video.
Really,
It didn't air.
But that'd
They
be in-
didn't air that.
Would that be in the butt, Bob?
it aired.
That's I
It
don't
didn't
know.
air, but
I
he
don't
did
know.
say it. You've seen the video.
I've seen video.
Or you're making a joke and it's
no,
funny.
no. I swear to God, I swear there's a video where where's the strangest place you've ever made whoopee? Because that's the way they did it in the 70s. It was that double entendre, whatever crap. And a guy flat out just looked at him straight face and went, "Would it be in the butt, Bob?"
Did he say in the butt, or did he say in the butt?
That would be in. No, I think it was in the. That would be in the butt.
I kind of
Bob.
like in the butt. I mean, well, I'm not saying that I like it in the butt. I mean, you hear what I'm saying.
I mean, these shows live on forever.
There was a weird thing that came up today. I was looking at some areas around town and realized a place that Debbie and I
had made whoopee.
Yeah.
In the butt, Bob?
No, Bob. No, Bob. But it was.
Dan, do you understand why? It was 5 minutes before the show, we have a plan,
right.
and it goes.
There isn't a plan.
Yeah, there's no plan.
There isn't a plan. Where's the weirdest place you ever got it on with somebody? Go on, tell me. I mean, I'll tell you. It was in a hotel lobby, and it was in the hotel lobby, and it was in this town.
Wait, Prince wrote a song about that. It's called "Darling Nikki."
Yeah, this was Darling Debbie. Go on. I shared. It's your turn.
Man, I'm having a hard time. I mean, on top of a hood of a car on a farm, but that's not really that crazy.
Was the car moving?
No.
25 miles an
Were
hour?
you with somebody else?
By yourself?
No.
There was a combine coming at you? Really? That's the best you can do?
Yeah. I'm trying
what
to
time of
think
year was it? We have high?
Summer.
Corn was as high as an elephant's eye?
No, it was
maybe?
it was summer.
It was summer.
All
You
right.
heard crickets and frogs?
Fireworks tent.
A firework. You mean
Now
like one
we're
of these
talking.
tents that they put up so we could buy fireworks?
You're telling me because they got to drop the walls at night.
I had a fireworks tent
Yeah, you did.
and at Midway
yeah.
Truck Stop,
Yeah.
but it wasn't there. It was when I flew back from California my sophomore year, opened one up in Rolla, Missouri, in a Wholesome. Well, no, I think it was the old Wholesome Bread Factory. I rented the space.
Yeah.
And yes.
So wait a second. Did you bring her, or did she come out and say, "What do I have to do for some firecrackers?"
She visited. No, I was going out with her.
Okay.
well,
Was there a chart on the wall that said, "For this you get
No.
sparklers.
No.
For this you get Roman candles.
Right.
For this
No.
you get."
This was just a cool girlfriend.
All right.
Okay.
Just
did
checking.
you drop the tents? Because I know they do that at night. They drop the tent, the sides on the tent.
Well, this was an actual building, so it wasn't as risque.
Okay.
You didn't pull the line at the end. I bet you saw fireworks.
Nothing like that.
No, but I wish I had. That would have been really good.
Okay, Tom Bowman.
I
Don't get yourself in trouble, but
have to think about this for a second.
sure you do.
In public, at a park in Southern California, near like where all the equestrian stuff happens in that part of
Okay,
Southern
horsey
California,
style. I got you.
on a picnic table
Sure it was.
like this,
8 a.m. What time was it?
7:30 at night.
A.m. Okay.
No, p.m.
7:30 at night.
Yeah.
Was it still light out?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey kids, your picnic is served right here. Wow.
Yep.
I'm picturing it myself. I'm not
so,
picturing you.
So
in there,
for
but-
friends of mine that live in, so I grew up in California. So when it came to fireworks, you got sparklers and you got those black snakes that would stain your sidewalk.
Yeah, stupid.
For a year.
Stupid.
Then I move out here and there's big fireworks stands. But then there's these standalone on Interstate 70, which is from here to St. Louis. There's like brick and mortar fireworks.
Yeah.
Are those ever open? Like who the hell owns a fireworks stand that's open year round?
Well, there's something in the law in the state of Missouri, and other states have it as well, which is that if you have the brick and mortar and you're licensed for that, you can operate all year long. The others only get, 3.5 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
actually
what
learned-
you were under. I mean, you had
Yes.
you only had a limited window
Yes.
for
Right.
you and that
I
girl
learned-
to do the firework
Yeah,
explosion.
Yeah.
coming up very soon on the way to my house, there's always a big giant fireworks tent.
Yeah.
Okay? And it shows up right about now. They start building it, getting it ready. It's on this flat spot of a lot.
I mean,
that,
it won't open until June, whatever the damn date
know.
is, the
Like
10th or
June,
something
yeah,
like
20
that.
but here's what happens. People out here, you're not only buying fireworks for the 4th of July. You're buying fireworks for, like, the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens. From July 5th until New Year's Day, people are firing off fireworks any given day during the week, any given time. I've never experienced that before, except for the last, 14 years that I've lived out here.
You're saying that they're firing them off out here
Oh, yeah.
from July 5th to New Year's Day?
On any random night.
Well, they can't buy them during that time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They stock up.
They stock up.
before the 4th of July.
Now, in the municipality we live in, the city says you can't possess at all fireworks. Not just shoot them off. You can't even possess them. And I swear, I've got some illegal fireworks in my frickin' closet right now. I don't know what to do with them. If I try to get rid of them, I got to put them in the car and drive them. What if I get pulled over? What if some narc comes up and is like, I think he's traveling with fireworks, and I get pulled over, and I've got fireworks
When
in the
they
car.
put you in the holding tank and the guy goes, what are you in here for? And one guy goes, I slit a man's throat. And the other guy goes, man, I shot a guy in the head. And you go, I had a case of sparklers in my trunk.
Yeah.
How's that going to go off?
So when you had the girl in the fireworks stand,
Yes.
all right, did you come up with a name? If we're going to talk about names, did you call it like the Black Cat or the Sparkler? Did you call it the Snakes? What'd you call it? What'd you call
I
it?
called it the Jumping Jack.
The Jumping Jack. Is that really a firework?
Yes.
I thought I really didn't want to hear what you guys did, but I was just picturing.
Is there a
something.
firework called the Twitcher? Oh, well, then I don't have one. I'm
Then you
sorry.
don't.
Then I'm out.
Then you don't have one. How long has your brewery been open?
Actually, this month will be its 7th anniversary.
That's amazing. Yeah, happy
I
anniversary.
mean,
Thank
Happy
you.
anniversary
Thank
on
you.
that. Yours is a little bit different than others in which you have a monster area in the brewing room. We'll call it the brewing room. It's the size of a warehouse.
it's over my shoulder for those of you watching.
And you can fit hundreds of people in here. We have for many events before. Plus, you open up the big garage doors that we can spill outside and get it going out there as well. You joined the brewery, if I'm not mistaken, after it was already up and running. Is that right?
Yes. I joined about 3 years ago.
Okay. And so at that point, you're like, so what are we doing again? Did it make sense for you? Because it did for me already from the
Well,
beginning.
what were you doing before that?
I was selling real estate, had rental properties, used to teach real estate at Mizzou.
and he
Okay.
had a fireworks stand.
Is the common theme in all this that while I was doing that job, I was drinking a lot of beer. I was doing this job, drinking a lot of beer. And you're like, shit, I should just work in a brewery because I'm going to drink a lot of beer.
No, the funny thing is I actually just used to drink Busch Light.
Oh.
And I thought I was really getting crazy when I tried Boulevard Wheat. I was like,
Really?
hey, guys, I'm a craft
Wow.
beer drinker.
And no beard back then.
No beard, just a square.
You seem to have gotten along with the craft beer industry very well, though.
Yeah, I kind of almost feel like I should have been there many years
Earlier
ago.
on.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, earlier on. But it
Yeah.
is. It's a different sort of a thing out here than a lot of places are. And there's probably like 3 or 4 different, I think, probably business plans for local breweries and how they work and how they operate. Some, it's just simply, we're going to bottle, can, whatever, maybe some kegging, ship it out. Others will have a tasting room that's kind of fun. You do have a sampling room up front that's very nice. It's very, but this is where people like to hang.
Yeah, the sampling room was okay in the beginning, but it's just not enough room now, and you don't really get the full effect being in the tasting room. You get the full effect being out here.
Right.
But the cool thing about this back area, which is 5,000 square feet,
Yeah.
is we had a party for 40 people Monday night, and it had a great vibe going. You know, like you can walk into a place sometimes and you just feel like either it's dead and boring or it's happening. Well, it had that happening vibe of just everybody having a good time, good music playing. Didn't seem like it was too spread out or anything. But it was only 40 people.
Right.
And yet we can have 250 people back here, and it has that same vibe. So I kind of find that fascinating because back to the fireworks tent.
Of course. It always
It
comes down to
all
fireworks.
comes back
It
to
all
the
comes
fireworks
back.
tent. We would park cars of relatives, friends, whatever, at the fireworks tent to make it look like it was happening.
Right.
Because you want, the parking lot to be full. You don't want to go to a fireworks
Well,
tent
I
where
mean,
there's
that's
2
just,
to 3
that's,
people.
that's just classic FOMO.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
But the odd thing about this place is it only takes 20 to 30 to 40 people to make it seem kind of like it's got a good vibe, and like you walk in and you don't want to leave because it's boring or something.
You're right about that.
But
You're
you
right.
make people want to be here. And so, for those of you that are listening, there's gigantic, I don't know what that's called, Connect 4. There's Frisbee golf. I'm guessing the Frisbee golf happens inside of here. You've got
Yep.
that going on. I mean, you used to have, where's the big, you guys got rid of it, the big pool table
Yeah.
soccer thing, that's gone.
Just it started taking up too much room.
There you go. There you go. But, I mean, people have a reason to come out here. It's not like just going to a bar and you sit at a bar with your friends and you just have conversations, turning your head left
Yeah.
and right because that's where everybody's standing.
Yeah.
It's a big, giant space. great
Yeah.
events happen here. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's almost like a Dave and Buster's, except Dave and Buster's light. It's
Well,
not
I mean, they've
too
got their-
crazy
Okay.
with all the games.
Well, there's
but
a Dave. So on the staff, who is the Busters? I mean,
Yeah,
that's sort of what I'm
this
looking
is the
for.
Busters of David Busters,
Right.
and does a hell of a job. Let's go back to what you brought up in the beginning, which was like, what do we understand about distribution?
Right.
What is regional? What's
Because
not regional?
everybody is a little different. And we talked about Sudworks earlier. Sudworks, our friends in California. I'm from California, right by where Sudworks is. And it's weird to me that I can get that beer in California and I can get that beer here. So I assume it's everywhere, but it's not. It's there, it's in Nevada, and it's here, and that's it. It's just odd to me. So in your guys' world, when to your best of your knowledge, I would assume you've got up to speed on all of this now, what's the goal for Burr Oak? Is it to be in the Midwest only? Is it to be mass produced all over the place? What's the ultimate goal for you guys?
So Craig Steester, who founded the brewery.
Oh, we know that guy. We're not going to talk about that guy.
He built this thing to have the capacity to be a regional brewery of about at least 12 to 15 states. However, it could potentially go beyond that, and you can also potentially max out the brewery by just doing 5 states really, really well.
Sure.
So there's differing business philosophies on whether it's better to go really, really deep in 4 to 5 states and just crush it in every single.
And where are you guys now? Because
right now
we
we're-
talked about this will be the 7th anniversary this month. So in 7 years, where are you guys now as far as distribution goes?
So right now, the most recent state we added was Nebraska last year,
Right.
which is actually turned out amazing. Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri.
Interesting, because in every one of those states, guess what's there? A big giant university and a Power 5 conference. Congratulations, my friend.
And it's spoken by a guy that would know from Learfield IMG College, for sure. I mean, I think that's really interesting if you go really deep on just a handful of 5, 6, 7, 8 states and just worry about that. It's still going to be a lot of work for you just taking care of that.
Sure.
And then if you try to become national, like, what have you achieved beyond what you had before? Is it bigger and better, or it's just more of a nightmare?
I think you can get economies of scale the bigger you get. I would relate it. I'm trying to figure out a fireworks analogy, but I never got big in fireworks, so I can't really draw from that. But I really wanted to circle it back around.
I want to bring it back to the fireworks. Have you ever gotten laid in your own brewery here?
No.
Has anybody ever gotten laid in this brewery?
I would not doubt it, but not that I know of.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
if it haven't, I'd like to try
So
to
let me
maybe
ask you this.
break that ice.
So I grew up in Northern California. So the craft beer that I knew as young as I can remember is Sierra Nevada, the Godfather, right? So Sierra Nevada you can get all over the place. Stone Brewing, another big California outlet. Lagunitas sort of started small, and now
Sure.
they brew on both the East Coast and the West Coast
Yep.
and everything that's in the middle. Why would they do that? What's the difference between, say, Sierra Nevada doing what they're doing and versus what you guys are doing?
So literally, and I'm not kidding about this. It goes back to Craig Steester having a goal from the beginning to grow really, really big, that he built the infrastructure and he had that dream. If you don't even have that dream to begin with, you're not going to, you're going to be pigeonholed in this tiny little spot that there's no way you could.
So build a long runway. I mean, the best
Yeah.
example I have of that, and I tell people that, a Porsche 911 can do 130 miles an hour, but at 60 it's amazing. But a Nissan Sentra at 60 isn't amazing because it can only go so much, right? So there's that extra bit of bandwidth that you could get there if you need to, but man, we're amazing right here, right in this sweet spot.
And I really think some people just don't shoot high enough. They don't have a big enough goal.
Is this going back to the fireworks thing? Is that
Yeah, so that firework can only go so high.
Well, I don't want to know if he actually got the firework off that night. You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
When you work in a
was it full
fireworks
launch?
stand, does it simply just take the woman that you're with to just take her thumb and her finger and go psst, and it's over?
Wow, I don't know.
That's
I don't know. That got weird.
that got weird.
Oh,
really quick.
that's
Yeah,
what got weird.
that was the one that got
Yeah,
weird.
that
Everything up.
I mean, everything else is.
was
Well, we're
was all
40,
right.
49
man.
minutes in and it got weird.
I I was almost going to hit the outro just now, but there were other
You were
things.
done. You were done.
I was like, that was your out.
you're
That was your out right there. But I think there's other things left for us to talk about still on what you guys have done here and what your future is, and just brewing in general. Like you're helping to run the shop. How much brewing do you actually do? Zero?
Yeah, I like to tell people that I'm the
brains?
creator of the beers. No, I don't. I quickly tell them that I just manage it, and people quickly lose interest. They're most intrigued by Craig Bridgeford, who's our head brewer. He actually came from California.
So
West
I was
Coast
going to
Brewing.
ask the question because
Yeah.
I remember meeting him, and we have a nice little connection there.
Yeah.
And then I would go, well, why doesn't he want it to be in Northern California at least? Can we just put a little pinky in Northern California of distributing, for God's sake?
Maybe
So
get some out there.
so all my
Wait.
friends out there that listen can enjoy this delicious beer, so I don't have to mule it back and forth all the time.
What would it be like to do that for you if you were to find like a spot, one city in California, and put your beer out there?
So during COVID, we had very little to do other than a lot of research. So we looked at California. We looked at all sorts of different places, but a lot of it comes down to logistics as far as the trucking routes. We were looking into Colorado right now because one of our key people on staff that was with us through COVID, Annie Lefevers, moved to Fort Collins, Colorado, and we wanted to retain her, but we need to get distribution in Colorado to do so. So that's part of our plan, is just based on if we have someone really cool that works for us, we want to try to somehow salvage their relationship with the
Right,
brewery
yeah.
and cater our distribution to them, because the people really do make the difference. And
So you're saying the head
houses.
brewer is not cool at all and doesn't matter because I'm not going to put it in Northern California. Okay.
No,
got it.
no, that's, you know, we looked into rail to California. But oddly enough, going to Denver, Colorado is one of the worst trucking routes there is.
Really?
I learned that just by getting quotes.
Interstate 70?
That's
Yeah.
because you got to go across Kansas.
Well,
And
that's the
half
worst
of
part.
Colorado. It's just a long
No,
route.
it's because they want something coming back.
Oh.
And Denver has a lot of technology. It has a lot of things that are not products that don't go on trucks.
I mean, weed can go on trucks.
True, maybe.
They can't ship it across state lines.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, there's that.
Federal regulations say they can't do that yet, so there's nothing there for them to ship back to.
Yeah, so it's almost like
Just empty
think of it
trucks.
as two countries, import, export. It's
Yeah.
just everything's getting exported to Denver. Nothing's coming back from Denver. So no one wants to take a truck out there. And if you
Alright.
do, you're paying twice the freight.
Well, I will make this official
Nothing
offer.
coming back.
I go to Northern California 3 or 4 times a year. I get 2 checked bags on Southwest. So whatever we can put into 2 checked bags, I am willing to import
That's
into
a
Northern
giving.
California.
That's a giving soul. That's
I
really
think so,
amazing.
right? Don't
That's
we-
amazing.
right?
And rail might be the way to go to.
Oh, I'm not going on rail. Let's, no,
That's better.
I'm not going
I like
on
that.
rail.
No, you're willing to do it. When we talked, you mentioned COVID and what you guys had to do during COVID. We were talking beforehand, before we started the podcast today, about the aluminum can incredible
Yeah.
shortage and demand going on. You guys have aluminum cans here. Other brewers don't have as many as you have. How'd you get them all here?
So yeah, and a little bit of a scary moment for us when we were trying to get cans, because we, initially got some warnings that there was going to be a shortage coming down the road, and you think, oh, okay, a week or two. It's been going on for pretty much a year now, and we were calling as far as Canada, Korea, trying to find cans, and then somehow by a miracle, someone called and left a message saying, hey, do you guys need any cans? And it was a brewery in Kansas.
Just a
that-
random phone
Yeah,
call.
they were just calling around some bigger breweries saying,
No
hey,
kidding.
do you need some cans? Because they had a warehouse that they were storing a ton of cans in. This is a successful brewery in Kansas. It's not like they were having problems.
Right.
The problem was that they had their storage facility was getting demoed for another bigger facility or something like that, and they needed to get rid of all these cans. So we just lucked out and we're able to buy their cans, and we'll put our labels over they're already pre-printed cans, so we have to go over the top of their.
Okay, hold on. So what you're saying is there are Burr Oak cans that will be out there that if you manage to
Yep.
and let's be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
This isn't like when you have like a Bud Long Neck and it gets it gets that
Soggy.
it
I mean,
gets
it
soggy, and
you're
you
trying to
pull the
it off.
label off, and then there's just glass there.
Yeah.
You can't really pull a label off of these cans very well. But if you
Right.
were to do that, there's another brewer's label
Yeah.
underneath yours.
Yep. Yep.
I feel
What
a
a great
Willy
idea.
I feel a Willy Wonka thing coming on.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think it's wonderful. I mean, who's going to pull the damn label off except for Tom Bowman?
Except for me.
Well, and that's what we had to do with Octane. We had to we already had labeled those cans with the old 63 label, and then we're like, oh my God, we can't put this out on the market. It's got
Wait a
4%.
second. Were those already filled also?
Yeah, filled.
Oh, Lord. So then you had to make labels that didn't exist
Yes.
and relabel
Yes.
all the cans.
And
Every
let's be
individual
honest,
can.
these new craft beer cans, you can't just pull the label. I don't know what the technology is, but that's an impressive label. That label doesn't come off with condensation.
No, it is pretty impressive. Like I don't know how they do it, but I'm happy with it. They
Damn.
stick on there, and they survive cold water full of,
Is there a particular beer from Burr Oak that we could try to figure out what has the other brewery underneath it?
we actually haven't had to dip into those yet, but we'll probably within the next month we'll be
I
be
want to
all
find
right.
out.
damn near every
I'm just
flavor.
curious
will
of
be.
who it is.
It feels like it. I do think it's the golden ticket thing. It's if you open that thing up and you find a different beer underneath it, you've won.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you which brewery it is. You have to peel a label
Yeah.
off.
Dude, I'm
to
already in
find
the
out.
building, and you already told me it's one of these cans, so I'm just going back behind the
Yeah,
scrim
maybe
over
I'm
there.
gonna keep
I'm
you
gonna
from
start
doing
pulling labels off a can.
Did you have any other stuff that was not you weren't able to get during the pandemic?
No, it was all about the cans.
That's
the
it.
Cans were just.
If you were bottling, could you get bottles?
You could get all the bottles you ever wanted because
Wow.
people realize that cans, the weight goes in half
Yeah.
versus a bottle.
Right.
You can take them on golf courses. You can take them.
In Missouri, you can take them in the car as long as you're not the driver.
That's
wink,
true.
Wink.
Yeah,
float trips on the
float
rivers.
trips, and
But isn't it better? And you're probably going to answer this better than I will. But when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, beer in a can was like
It was looked
inferior
down, yeah.
to like a beer in a bottle. Beer in a bottle was better. Oh, you're high class. You got a Heineken in a bottle. Good for you.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But really, in the reality is that in the can, the beer is better.
Yes.
There's no light that can get in.
Right.
There's no metal taste. You don't. It's not like my granddad's old Coors Banquet beer when he pulled the tab off. He goes, "Hey, you want to drink your grandpa's beer?" And you drink it. You're like, sort of tastes like tinfoil.
Yeah.
Right. Why you guys
That might
know
have
your
been the
stuff?
beer.
Yeah,
That
you're,
might have
you're
been the
absolutely
beer.
right. The sunlight oxidizes the beer,
Right.
and
Because
so
you guys don't bottle at all.
We
You
never
just do
bottle.
cans.
And Craig Steeser actually knew that 7 years ago.
Well, he's a damn scientist, for God's
Yeah,
sakes.
he was naming. He had specific reasoning for going cans, and then is like 4 years later, the market kind of caught up to him, and
Yeah,
it
if
was
you
like-
go into any good grocery store that has a great liquor department or any great liquor store, and you go look in the refrigerator section and you look in the craft beer area, it's really hard to find good craft beer in bottles.
I mean, Boulevard's pretty much gone away from bottles, but a lot of places went back to bottles during COVID
Because they couldn't
because
get
they hadn't sold their bottling line that no one wanted.
Oh, that's fine.
Was
and so
there
they revved
anything?
it back up again.
Was there anything with the production of aluminum cans, or it was just like did it get shut down, or was just the demand?
Demand was
That was
so not only did you have COVID having a lot of people stocking up, stockpiling,
Well,
their Mountain
day
Dew and their
drinking.
also day drinking at home, but they were not going to the bars to drink the draft. They were
Yeah, so you guys stopped kegging a lot.
we
during that
definitely
time.
we definitely cut back on our kegs, but so all the breweries were producing more cans, but on top of that you had wine going into cans now that's becoming more acceptable. I mean, it's still kind of looked down upon, kind of like you were talking about back in the day. Oh, you got a can of Budweiser, I'll stick with my bottle.
Right.
Well, the same thing with wine. It's still getting looked down upon, but
Yeah.
it's
But in a dive
definitely
bar,
making-
nobody has ever won a bar fight breaking a can over the bar versus a
Right.
bottle. I'm just
That's
saying.
true.
Well, there
Sure.
was that Twisted Tea episode. I don't know if you guys saw
Well,
that
I
video.
did see that. That's
There's-
crazy.
There's that.
But and
God,
then
I never want to feel that thing.
seltzers also.
came out of
took
nowhere.
up a lot of
Seltzers,
canned.
Natter Days,
Yep.
all these
Yeah,
other
yeah,
crazy
yeah.
beers.
Yeah.
that
And
no
those
one
got
should drink.
involved with people's cocktail tastes. So people that had other bottles they were going to mix together,
Yep.
they were grabbing cans of this thing in 6, 12, and 24 case varieties, right?
So Ball Corporation's got 2 massive plants being built right now, and when they come online, they're going to alleviate some of the supply issue, but it'll probably go all the way into first half of 2022.
Has that can technology truly changed, like in the last decade? I mean,
No, I
are
don't
these
think
cans
so.
that much better than
No,
say?
no,
No.
but I will give you this. It goes back just a little bit further than a decade is when they went to the larger mouth on the cans. So when you opened a can, you're holding it up going, would you please fill me?
Right.
And it barely came out. When they went to the larger mouth, now it's flowing
Well,
freely.
because you need air to come in
That's
for
right.
liquid to come out.
Once they started that, cans started, I think, becoming a lot more acceptable to people that you could actually drink out of a can.
Well, remember in the old days, you had a church key, which for those of you that go to your grandmother's house and you reach into that nasty drawer she has, there's a thing called a church key. On one end, it's pointed, and it would put like a little triangular piece in.
It punctures
It punctured the can. And beer cans didn't have pull tabs. You had to puncture one side and then the other side. One
wow.
side was for drinking, and one side was to allow the
Was
air
for the
in
air.
so that it would flow
Really?
out.
Yeah. So then they went to the pull tabs, which you would pull off completely, and they were in your hand, and you were like, what am I going to do with this? You threw them on the ground, so it would cut somebody's foot later that day.
Oh, it would, too.
Great, wonderful. And it would sit there for 25 years.
As an
before.
8-year-old, I got really good at pulling those for my grandfather. He would say, hey, go get your granddad a beer. And it was Coors Banquet beer, and you'd pull that pull tab as an 8-year-old.
And have the whole thing. And then if you could braid that with other tabs and make chains. And then you and your sister walked around with necklaces made out of beer tabs. Yes, good times all the way through.
Dan, have you ever had a beer necklace?
No, but
Well, you haven't
back on collecting things. This is
waiting for
completely
the
off
fun.
subject, but I got to share this story. Collecting, back in kindergarten when you get milk for lunch and you'd have the straw, that
Yeah.
little short straw.
Sure.
My buddy and I, who lived 3.5 miles from each other on a country road,
Oh, no.
collected all those straws and tried to, like, you know how you can bend one
Yeah.
end and stick it in the other end?
Yeah.
We tried to make a 3.5 mile long
Voice cable.
phone out of
Right.
the straws with a
Or a
with a
really,
can
really
that-
good 80s partner.
You were going to talk to each other
Yes.
3.5 miles
How
away.
far did you get? 18, 18 feet.
about to the flower bed at my house.
Flower bed.
18 feet.
Yeah, 18 feet.
Nice
Right.
attempt.
I know. I was
If you
pretty-
want to pull that off, you got to use the old McDonald's straw. Thing was like the
Yeah.
diameter was
Huge
like garden
all the way
hose.
through. Yeah, absolutely. That is a great. You did the telephone thing, right? With a,
2 cans and a string.
well, that's a string, so it just takes the vibrations.
Right.
But to actually use yours was like a fiber optic. Yours was
Yeah,
high tech.
it was-
We're sending
It was
through the
yeah,
tubes.
we were ahead of our time.
I wonder if you could have done that with something with a different a property like a steel. You know what I'm saying? How far?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty expensive for 12-year-olds to get 3.5 miles of steel
Still,
to go between
I think,
their house.
I
and,
think Grady was trying.
Hey,
I mean, I give you credit for all the effort.
I learned about distance
Yeah.
at age 5.
Yeah.
How
this-
far was it from your house to the flower bed?
Well, maybe 18 feet. But
See, 18
he was
feet.
3.5
Nailed
miles.
It. Nailed it. 18
He got the whole
feet.
thing done.
You're
He
a
was-
guy, 18 feet, 3.5 miles. It's the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
This was the beginning of him figuring out when it came to the fireworks stand how far he could raise that firework. You
Once
know what I'm
again,
saying?
18 feet is 3.5 miles as far as I'm concerned.
Same thing all the way through.
I
The,
just found the title of the podcast: 18 feet or 3.5 miles.
That's it all the way through. Thank you for the Franks. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Where's Clyde, by the way? Is he floating around?
He's around here somewhere.
I saw him earlier. I need
This
to go.
is great beer. Burr Oak Brewing, Dan Johnson, thank you so much. And
Cheers.
Franks,
Yeah, thank you.
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. Let's drink a little bit.
Beautiful.
This has been a podcast story. Tom's World Beer Tour. For future episodes, download and subscribe where you get your podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart, and Amazon Music. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or send us an email at tomsworldbeertour@gmail.com. All content property of Tom's World Beer Tour, copyright 2021. No beer was harmed during this production. only consume.